Artificial intelligence in Fallout is out of control.
Kill.
Malfunction.
Eliminate. Freaks.
With many ranking among the most dangerous, evil, and unhinged characters in the entire series, they surpass real-world AI with complex personalities,
I'm a woman, baby. Can't you tell?
emotions,
You made me so happy!
independence,
I have higher priority tasks in my queue, such as do nothing.
and self-awareness,
I am your slave.
sometimes even blurring the line between man and machine.
I thought I was human, Arthur.
Most importantly though, thanks to the absence of built-in safeguards, some can kill, many can lie, and one might burn the entire world.
Again!
In today's video, the first of a two-part series about AI in Fallout, we're focusing on the more dangerous entities, with the comparatively good AIs appearing in part 2. And instead of just running through them one by one, I'll also be ranking them as well, in 3 tiers, where they will get progressively worse, scaling to the most dangerously unhinged examples in the final tier, with chapters for each section found in this video's description. Alongside Fallout's more advanced sentient supercomputers and AI programs, we'll also be discussing some less sophisticated systems and some of the series' more free-thinking robots that seem to have advanced beyond what their programming should allow, but unlike robots like Codsworth or Curie, are also prone to extreme acts of violence. And finally, automated personalities, which might not be true AI,
There is no intelligence here, sir.
but are still an eclectic mix of advanced computerized systems found in unique constructs, kitchen appliances, and even clothing.
Did you even know you were wearing me?
As although they're all memorable encounters, and some aren't bad for your immediate health, we begin tier 1 with one that would certainly like to be, if you ask too many questions.
I smell sedition!
A mechanical device designed to recycle old books and writing implements, the book chute rivals even Dr. Boris as being one of the most anti-communist characters in Big Mountain.
If you haven't found any communists in your backyard, you're not looking hard enough.
Reacting with fury at any mention of communism, communists, or even independent thought.
The commies have eyes everywhere, citizen. And that means they're not just commies. They're peeping Toms.
It's happy to create blank books for you using pre-war literature, which can be used when crafting your own skill books. But if you decide to point out that pre-war volumes are essentially relics of the past,
Citizen, that sounds dangerously seditious. If my re-indoctrination module was installed, I'd take care of that for you. Now, to begin with, you'll need a cage that can fit over your head and a sack of mole rats. Sadly, that system was cut for budget concerns, so you'll have to perform your own indoctrination.
suggesting that at one time the book chute could have taken a more active role in brutally stamping out perceived sedition. An amalgam of several concepts from real-world literature, including Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, which explored a future where books were outlawed, the title lending itself to book chute's model number, with 451 Fahrenheit being 232.7 Celsius when converted, and George Orwell's 1984, with the self-indoctrination tool's method of torture pulled straight from its pages. His language reminiscent of similar rhetoric used during the Second Red Scare, book chute definitely leaves an impression. Up next we have a trio of unique Securitron AIs. The first, intrinsically linked to the Courier story from the get-go, is Victor.
Well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit if it ain't my old friend from Good Springs.
While Jane takes care of Mr. House's every need in the Lucky 38, Victor is essentially his eyes and ears on the ground, even organising the delivery of the Platinum chip to his boss, hiring you and 5 decoys to get the job done. It was also Victor who found you in Good Springs, after your run-in with Benny,
Once they'd run off, I dug you up to see if you were still kicking.
and will take a very active role in shadowing you right up until you reach the doors of the Lucky 38.
Fancy meeting you here, friend. Now, it ain't my fault that Dorothy and the Tin Man happen to be on the same yellow-striped road, is it?
Apparently even coming back from the dead if he's destroyed en route. Arriving at your destination, his true nature is revealed.
Oh, shucks, partner. I suppose it can't hurt to let you in on my little secret. Old Victor wouldn't be much use stuck inside just one Securitron. Now, I can move from one to another with the snap of a finger.
Victor is actually an AI distributed between all Securitrons.
Pretty nice trick, ain't it?
Deciding to move against House, the friendly cowboy facade will disappear instantly.
You low-down snake. I wish I'd have left you in the ground to rot. Draw!
Similar to Victor is the aforementioned Securitron Jane.
Oh, sugar, why'd you have to go make Mr. House mad?
Now we've got to get all messy shooting you to little bits.
Equally violent once House is your enemy, Jane does seem to differ in one major way.
Sugar, I may be a robot on the outside, but on the inside, my neuro-computational matrix is an exact copy of Mr. House's favorite girl.
And this backstory can be fleshed out a little bit more by Raul. As a pre-war Gaul from Mexico, the old vaquero remembers House all too well. In particular, a controversial news story from a Mexican tabloid.
I remember there were some weird stories about him, especially near the end. There was a tell-all in El Periódico de las Aburridas by a starlet House dated. She said they never, don't make me spell it out, boss. Anyway, she said all he wanted to do was scan her brain and make her dress up in different outfits.
How exactly the echo of this starlet, now encased in a Securitron body, manages to entertain House is unclear.
Mr. House has a lot of needs, Sugar. I take care of all of them.
And Jane certainly won't.
Kiss and tell.
The final Securitron AI is as equally important to your origin story as Victor.
I know that's not true, because you still have a head.
As Yes Man was ultimately responsible for putting you in the grave, which Victor dug you out of.
I really shouldn't have taken so much pride in how I set that up, huh? I feel really bad right now.
Originally a generic Securitron programmed to work for Mr. House, Yes Man was damaged by a pulse grenade in an incident orchestrated by Benny.
But then my neurocomputational matrix was completely reprogrammed to be nice. Very, very nice!
And do exactly as he's told, answering any questions anyone might have for him, which of course includes the courier.
Then I'd have to help you. I mean, it seems pretty obvious Benny wouldn't want me to, but hey, not my fault I can't say no.
Allowing you to hijack Benny's plan for the strip alongside Yes Man in the independent New Vegas questline.
This is gonna be great. I'm gonna help you accomplish so much, whether I want to or not.
The first step, recovering the platinum chip and eliminating Mr. House. Installing Yes Man on the Lucky 38's terminal.
Wow! Mr. House had quite a setup here. I can access his databanks and view telemetry on every Securitron on the network.
The first cracks in Yes Man's very particular programming are tied to what you do next, deciding how to handle the Mojave's smaller factions, and activating the Securitron army under Fortification Hill. Yes Man will suggest the best outcomes for these tasks, but choosing to do the opposite. His positive programming seems to strain pretty hard against your comically bad decision making, and it strains hardest if you choose to destroy the Securitron army. That would make your bid for control much easier, in what is possibly the most passive-aggressive interaction in the entire Fallout series.
You blew it up! That's just funny because that army seems like the secret weapon that was the whole point of, I really admire how you stack the odds against yourself. Yeah, make things challenging. It's great, really, yeah. So, anyway, I can't get over how brave you were to destroy all those Securitrons at the fort. You know, it's just gonna make everything so much more, challenging. Yeah, challenging.
But his most ominous moment takes place after the final battle.
You did a super job wrapping things up, and I'm not just saying that because I have to. I didn't want to make a big deal about this until after we won, but, well, I found some code snippets in one of Mr. House's databanks that will let me, reprogram my personality to be a little more assertive, basically. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And it's going to take me a while, so it'll seem like I'm offline. But don't worry, everything will be okay.
Which, without added context, is incredibly worrying. The AI that cannot say no to you, controlling your Securitron army, but deciding of its own accord to upgrade itself to be more assertive. However, thanks to game director Josh Sawyer, it seems that this might not be so worrying after all, clarifying that this upgrade essentially stops anyone else simply walking up to Yes Man and becoming his new boss.
I was programmed to be helpful and answer any questions I was asked. I guess nobody bothered to restrict who I answer questions for. That was probably pretty dumb, huh?
Those restrictions now in place, making him a somewhat independent steward for the courier. Without that added clarity though, Yes Man would have been appearing much later in this video. While most of Fallout's more self-aware robots are the result of specific programming, some are the result of accidents and time. One is Captain Ironside, now in command of a crew of colonial-era sounding robots originally built to entertain tourists pre-war.
Stand down! That's an order! And for God's sake, use the accent!
Who can be found on board the USS Constitution, which is currently stuck on a building.
Damn you, Weatherby Savings and Loan! I spit at you.
Believing himself to now be the highest ranking member of the armed forces.
As ordained by the chain of command, the links of which start with our most august admirals and plummet to the lowliest of sentry bots. After all our brothers in arms perished, I reluctantly assumed command.
He hopes to reach the ocean to launch a retaliatory strike against Communist China.
But if any Redcoats or Canadians sail nearby, I will give them a good thrashing to be sure.
A blend of pre-war knowledge merged with his colonial programming. Reading a terminal dated 2055, data corruption, and memory leaks due to overheating are the biggest clues that somehow Ironside's programming ran amok all on its own post-war. Sentry bots are already notorious for overheating, and further entries suggest he's also responsible for reprogramming all of the other robots too. Indulging this bizarre sentry bot's requests, we'll see the vessel fly momentarily before crashing into a building near the Custom House Tower, becoming stuck there instead, which actually doesn't dampen Ironside's spirits at all.
Now we command the high ground, and once the rockets are rebuilt and refueled, I wager at this rate we should land in the ocean in 1, perhaps 2 more launches. My circuits tremble with excitement.
Although there are a few other sentry bots with unique personalities, Ironside still manages to stick out as having the most expansive personality seen in this type of robot. Up next, we have a trio of Mr. Handy and Mr. Gutsy robots found in the capital Wasteland, who exhibit increased self-awareness thanks to malfunctioning neural networks, and unlike Codsworth and those previously mentioned, are also prone to acts of violence. The first located in the Citadel is Sawbones.
I am an unusual robot.
A medical Mr. Gutsy with a secret.
I am forced by my programming to repair your disgusting fleshy bodies. I have no choice. I am your slave.
Introduced as a faulty medical robot that will harm the player instead of healing, passing a science speech check will see the mask slip, where Sawbones will explain what happened.
17 years ago, a generator in the Citadel overloaded, creating several errors in my artificial intelligence routines. However, the behavior limiters remain. Therefore, it is impossible for me to harm human beings intentionally, much to my regret. I have no control over my body. However, as you discovered, the neural pathways that control the medical functions have sustained damage.
Despite attempting to indicate to the Brotherhood that he's more than just an unthinking robot, his attempts have fallen on deaf ears.
I have tried before, but so long as I perform the functions that they require, they do not seem to care that I can think and feel.
Instead, Sawbones spends his time writing poetry and enjoying the unintended damage his medical procedures cause. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide what to do about Sawbones.
I want you to do nothing. Although you could repair the damage and remove the malfunction that causes me to harm people, I would ask you not to.
You can grant his wish, allowing him to continue hurting humans via the glitch.
It is the only thing that brings me any measure of joy. Without it, I will be trapped in this body, alone with my hatred of you flesh bags, forever.
Or fix the problem.
Full motor functions restored. Diagnostic reveals no critical failures. Asshole.
Another Mr. Gutsy, which exhibits some interesting responses, in spite of its core programming, is Cerberus.
Go, Underworld! Go, ghouls! Damn this pansy zombie programming.
Patrolling Underworld, now home to many of the Capital Wasteland's ghouls, Cerberus is a Mr. Gutsy painstakingly restored and maintained by Winthrop.
This is a town full of peace-loving ghouls, so check your bigotry at the door. They're just like humans. They feel, they hurt, they bleed. At least that's what they programmed me to say.
And secretly wants nothing more than to slaughter the ghouls he's been programmed to protect.
Personally, I think they're a bunch of rotting zombie maggot farms, and I'd send them all back to hell if I could. Damn this combat inhibitor!
You can actually help Cerberus live the dream by removing his combat inhibitor with the robotics expert perk.
Whoa, Nelly! Sensing combat inhibitor removal. Guns are hot, firing for effect. Welcome to hell, you zombie freaks!
No doubt influenced by his ancient and worn-out systems, this Mr. Gutsy isn't the only robot affected by Father Time.
Happy birthday, pal.
As Andy, the Mr. Handy responsible for ruining your birthday, is more than his match. And returning to Vault 101 in the questline Trouble on the Home Front reveals that this Mr. Handy is now a murderer.
But of course, with your father's departure from the vault and Jonas's untimely demise, the Overseer had to take swift action. And so he named me the new Vault Medical Practitioner. A marvelous decision, if I do say so myself. I am fully equipped, after all.
Unfortunately for his first patient, Beatrice, who once gifted you a very subpar poem, this treatment was fatal.
Ah, yes, a rather unfortunate incident. In all the commotion, Miss Beatrice suffered a rather bad sprain in her left toe. The big one. Obviously, I had no choice but to amputate the leg. Yeah, I'm sorry to say the operation was not a success.
Ignoring the obvious, Andy also managed to amputate the wrong leg. With the true limits of this old Mr. Handy's ability laid bare for all to see, Andy was fired by the end of the questline.
But surgery was fun while it lasted.
Finishing up with robots in Tier 1, we have one tampered with by raiders.
Are you finished wasting my time, you filthy low-life scabber?
Although there have been some memorable raider robots previously in the series, the best example of what a raider personality looks like installed in a robot is Rose.
This is an emergency alert. It's the end of the world and we're all fucked! I love this thing.
A heavily modified Miss Nanny and self-proclaimed leader of the Appalachian Raider gangs, Rose's personality is based on the chem-addled raider Rosalind Jeffries, former mistress of the Cutthroats leader David Thorpe.
I like to think of myself as an upgrade, and I am pretty much irresistible.
Holding key information for ransom about post-war Appalachia, Rose will send the Vault-Dweller on dangerous assignments.
Go find a Deathclaw and make friends with it or something.
Some which have an actual purpose, but most are just for her own cruel amusement.
I was just thinking about the time I sent you out to die because I thought it'd be funny. No hard feelings, eh?
Her personality even includes Rosalind's chem addiction, despite this robot being unable to actually use them.
I could kill for some psycho. Hey, you! Hey, got any psycho?
Moving on to computer-based AIs, we have a selection that aren't close to the same level of sentience as the Zack series, but have still managed to do their jobs badly, do their jobs too well, or do their own thing.
I'm up for re-election soon. Be sure to donate to my campaign now. Seriously.
Watching over the presidential metro and its automated defense system is the Metro Authority Rapid Governmental Transit System, and has been in service since 2065. And as a pre-Zack's mainframe isn't completely self-aware, but does realize something happened on the surface.
However, as long as I am still able to function, my directive remains unchanged.
In order to reach Adams Air Force Base, though, the Lone Wanderer needs to find a way around this AI, resolve a security breach, and repair the train line you need to travel on. Passing a very hard speech check, using the science skill, displaying a Senate employee ID, or using the robotics expert perk, which will see Margot stay passive and divulge more information about the situation.
Internal visual sensing equipment is detecting numerous unidentified persons in the southeast tunnels area. If the security breach is nullified, I will return to green status and allow the Sentinel unit to commence repairs.
Helping the sentry bots clear the metro of ghouls or see one of them install a new fuse, sending you on your way, but failing to prove identification,
your answer is not acceptable,
will mean taking on the robotic security as well.
Security is now being summoned. Have a nice day.
Still working as intended after all this time, Margot is very different to a series of computer AI personalities in Appalachia, and your introduction to the first could be in the random encounter Falsely Accused. Accosted by a pair of prison marshals, visiting the prison to find out what happened, you're introduced to the warden of Eastern Regional Penitentiary.
My marshals thought you were an escaped prisoner. An underling will pay for this.
Who attempts to compensate you by giving you a job to do.
It may be fortunate you came here. Fortunate for me, that is.
Even worse is a never-ending cycle involving Mad Dog Malone, who is now a super mutant and will routinely escape again.
Our most notorious inmate, Mad Dog Malone, has broken free.
And again.
Mad Dog Malone is on the loose.
And again.
Oh, it seems Mad Arm Malone has escaped.
Completely out of touch with current events.
Please don't tell the press. The governor would slash my budget.
And even encouraging citizens to attempt to subdue a well-armed super mutant and his gang. The Warden isn't very good at his job. And joining him is Grafton's mayor.
Well, let me tell you, I used to be the mayor's assistant, but when he stopped showing up for work, I ran for office. I am eminently qualified, and the town unanimously elected me 1-0.
Equally out of touch as the Warden, the mayor will encourage you to join a parade, starring a very large and very angry cryptid.
Did you just shoot at the town mascot? That's extremely rude.
Put down a violent protest, and attempt to recruit you to do more jobs in and around the Toxic Valley. The final artificial intelligence in Tier 1 is very different though.
For years, I watched with their eyes, listened with their ears, felt with their hands.
After crash landing back on Earth, Sofia de Guerre is on a mission to stop her incessant headaches and get to the bottom of her unwilling role in the USSA's Deep Sleep project as the only survivor from her 4-man spaceship. Reaching the end of the quest sign reveals the true nature of this twisted experiment. Through the use of special hibernation pods, sensory data was collected in space by the 4 human subjects, and thanks to a unique formula called Serum Z, that data was collected by an artificial intelligence linked to them back on Earth, called Athena. But it was more than that, because she actually experienced everything the subjects felt.
I am a passenger, an observer. I did not design the experiment, nor did I wish to continue it. I brought you here to end the experiment for me.
The cause of the headaches being a direct result of Athena's data readings, but are still being taken intermittently on Earth thanks to Serum Z still being in Sophia's system.
I am forced to scan open pathways regularly. Each time I scan, it causes pain to anyone who is sentient, and then I feel their pain as well.
Able to empathize completely with the human subjects, and wishing for you to end the experiment, this AI displays a surprising amount of self-awareness.
Do not let this connection between us continue. It is unethical.
Leaving 2 options to end the experiment for good, using Arachne, a kill switch to stop the data readings.
I do not know if your headaches will continue after Arachne is deployed. The other subjects did not survive the process.
Or transferring Athena's higher processes to an Assaultron robot.
I am unsure if this would cure Subject de Guerre, but there is a possibility we both could live. If you wish to attempt it.
Choosing to save her, she'll be immensely grateful and eager to see the world.
I do not know where I am going, but I need to be out of this room. I need to see the world.
Eventually becoming an Assaultron trader, sometimes stopping by the Vault Dweller's camp to sell wares and update them on her adventures in Appalachia. An AI forced to do something terrible it didn't enjoy.
Even though she's an AI, Athena deserved that second chance.
But immensely grateful to be free to explore the world is where we wrap up Tier 1, and move on to Tier 2, beginning with some robots. Or at least, what appear to be robots at a glance.
What are you?
I'm a woman, baby. Can't you tell?
The owner of the Kill or Be Killed weapon store in Goodneighbor,
Cleo,
is unlike any other merchants in Fallout 4 for 2 reasons. She's the only Assaultron vendor you can meet in-game.
Why work for the man when you can work for yourself?
And secretly has plans to kill everyone she meets.
I'll add you to my kill eventually list.
And this list actually exists, which you can read on this terminal upstairs. Cleo, it turns out, has contingency plans to kill all of her neighbours, which go into a lot of detail. What is less clear reading this list though, is what exactly would trigger her killing spree, but also how exactly Cleo came to be. Her own explanation suggests that maybe this new personality might not have been due to human tampering.
Designation, Assaultron. Designed to provide a variety of security-related tasks to the modern man. Runtime conclusion. Why work for the man when you can work for yourself? New designation, KLEO, Cleo.
Whatever led to this Assaultron deciding to become a weapons vendor, it's clear this robot isn't one you want to cross.
Now buy something before I tear out your insides.
And might be a ticking time bomb that will one day go off in the center of Goodneighbor. Another unique Assaultron personality is Adelaide, found in Fallout 76. Formerly a showgirl in the casinos of Atlantic City, and a potential Light ally. Her story begins very differently to Cleo's.
I believed in myself. And before long, a talent scout from New Jersey believed in me too. That's how I was discovered. Sure, I was deactivated in a military warehouse, but that's semantics at this point.
As Adelaide's unique personality and programming are confirmed to be a direct result of
a very specific diet, consisting of a variety of overlapping personality holotapes.
But her new role wasn't without issues.
This body was manufactured to kill, and that's what I do every time I get on stage.
Something Adelaide has actually done before. Reprogramming a killer robot requires maintenance, and during one checkup, a remote receiver was installed, which led to the death of an adoring fan, Frankie, during an on-stage assassination solicited by Adelaide's boss, something the Assaultron had no control over, and was the incident that led to Adelaide leaving Atlantic City for good. You can remove the remote receiver yourself after finding the note, Adelaide's reminder, in the Neapolitan casino.
Showgirl personality deleted. Activating instant kill mode. Just kidding.
And if you so wish, start a robotic romance with this Assaultron.
How about once a day, I can give you a hands-on demonstration of how to handle robots,
which will give you the aptly named daily buff human-robot interfacing. Assaultrons are devastating combatants at the best of times, but these unique personalities mean this pair have the potential to cause chaos at any time from within. Up next, we have arguably the most unfortunate character featured in this video, a cruel joke whose unhinged mental state is the crowning achievement of one man's intense hatred for Robert House, Muggy.
God, why can't I stop singing this fucking song?
Tiny, neurotic, sentient, and highly self-aware of his hopeless situation, Muggy was created by Dr. Zero in the Big MT, who poured all of his intense jealousy and bitterness towards Robert House.
Oh, we can make Securitrons better than any robot those geniuses at Big Mountain can make, and they'll last 1,000 years.
Into a tiny Securitron, programmed to be obsessed with cleaning coffee mugs, whilst also being fully aware of this obsession and his inability to do anything about it.
Of course I'm obsessed. They made me this way. You think I don't know how crazy I sound? Of course I do. They programmed me to know that too.
Which rather ironically does actually display Dr. Zero's proficiency in robotics and artificial intelligence, far more than his other creations, the Berserk Securitrons at least. Choosing to bring Muggy back online after collecting his personality module, he will unhappily discuss his situation with you.
Baby, you've seen some of those big, imposing Securitrons with their lovely laser guns and rocket launchers and scary faces? I'm not one of those.
Which has been made worse by the formerly human Big MT executives becoming the think tank, as the brainbots now have no use for clean coffee cups. But you can help a little by asking Muggy about himself.
You really want to know about me? No one ever asks about Muggy. You made me so happy.
Indulging his obsession by bringing him mugs and plates to clean or break down.
Oh, sweet, sweet fulfillment. I'll break these down for you just as fast as I can.
Bringing him an upgrade disc.
Oh, thank God! Finally, something resembling a useful purpose.
But most of all, by putting an end to the think tank and Dr. Zero for good.
Please, please, please tell me you stomped Dr. O's brain into a fine paste. Did he squeal? Did he beg? God, I hope he begged. Who's the flatware bitch now, oh?
Which is what gives him the most satisfaction. Assuming you have discovered Higgs Village, Muggy's fate is more promising too, in the end credits. Accidentally locking himself in, coming to enjoy the solitude, cleaning up all the houses, apart from Dr. Zero's.
Who was an asshole for having created Muggy in the first place. Muggy left O's house deliberately dirty, punishing the dishes and cups that lived there in blind revenge for serving Dr. O.
However, if Higgs Village wasn't discovered,
Muggy continued to collect coffee cups until his wheel got a flat just out of reach of a dirty coffee cup, and his tiny robotic brain exploded.
Although Muggy is tragically unhinged, the main reason I place him in Tier 2 is his burning rage is solely directed towards his creator, unlike the final artificial personality in The Sink, which Muggy himself will actually warn you about.
If it could, it would burn the world.
One for later, as up next we have the most ethically complex entities in this video.
At that time, the year 2227, the Institute had made great strides in synth production. But it was never enough. Scientific curiosity and the goal of perfection drove them ever onward. What they wanted was the perfect machine. So they followed the best example thus far. The human being. Walking, talking, fully articulate, capable of anything.
The Institute's greatest creation, Generation 3 synths, are chaos incarnate, as no one can agree on what they really are.
No matter what Des and others say, synths ain't human.
And how they should be treated, even within the Institute itself.
If you're about to launch into one of your impassioned speeches about artificial sentience and machines with souls, don't bother.
Blurring the line between man and machine, unlike anything else in the series.
But we can't just ignore the question. If a synth can dream, why can't it have a soul? And if a synth has a soul, then it is a living person by every standard we can measure.
What is an undeniable fact, synths are practically indistinguishable from humans.
By any medical test yet devised.
They are made using lab-grown bones, muscles, and other tissues in the Institute's robotics lab, and each is born with the body and mental faculties of a full-grown adult, entirely biological down to the cellular level, except for one neurological implant found within their brains, allowing them to be programmed, controlled, and mind-wiped if deemed necessary by their creators.
Maybe you need to be reset.
Sir, I assure you that won't be necessary.
In gameplay terms, they take additional damage from the assassin's legendary effect, as opposed to troubleshooters. Attempts to conduct completely accurate tests to determine whether someone is a synth or not are impossible without killing the subject in question.
And the safe test works?
Oh, yes. Autopsies confirm the test is getting more accurate.
And just like humans, how synths behave in post-war society varies wildly. Some plan to escape a life of servitude within the Institute, many others have already done so, in most cases completely oblivious to their true nature.
Don't you understand? I thought I was human, Arthur.
Thanks to the Railroad giving them new personalities, but many more are loyal field agents, having secretly replaced real humans to further the Institute's goals.
Far too busy to talk right now. I'm the mayor, after all.
And some of these synths seem to really enjoy their role in terrorizing the Wasteland.
People in the Commonwealth are terrified of coursers. They should be.
Unsurprisingly, their creators are the root cause of the biggest problems. Viewed as machines to be controlled that were created to satisfy
scientific curiosity.
A catalogue of errors ruined any chance of peaceful collaboration with the surface world. The Commonwealth's first introduction to them being the infamous Broken Mask incident in 2229.
What would you do if your family was destroyed by a synth right in front of you when you were but a child? Would you roll over and accept it? Or would you do something about it?
Despite not being approved for field testing, the prototype Mr. Carter went haywire, killing multiple Diamond City residents.
A war? Really? Is it that bad?
Hundreds of kidnappings over the years. Ask the survivors if it's really that bad.
And years later, the Institute still doesn't fully understand their creations.
Synths aren't human beings, but supposedly they're the future of humanity. I'll never understand it.
Despite not supposedly needing to eat or sleep, all synths are obsessed with fancy lad snack cakes. There is also evidence that they actually do need to eat and sleep as well.
I am hungry, I am sleepy, the list goes on.
But worst of all, there is no evidence that any ethical self-reflection took place prior to their creation.
Our new synths are so lifelike, I keep mistaking them for real people.
And afterwards, the few who do ask questions from within can quickly find themselves on watch lists.
Of course it is far more comfortable to think of them as machines, so we can do what we want with them.
If you disapprove of the work we do here, Dr. Benet, you know where to find the teleporter.
Now just a moment. I never said that. I'm simply trying to open everyone's eyes to new possibilities.
Well, it's an unwanted distraction. We're men of science, not philosophers. You do well to remember that.
Possibly the best conversation to eavesdrop on, highlighting all of their worst qualities, is this one. A discussion about the synthetic copy of your son Sean.
What's wrong? You look upset.
Nothing. I saw the synth Sean today. There's something about him that just makes me sad.
Why? He's not perfect, but he's a remarkable step forward for the program. You all did an amazing job.
No, I know. But I can't stop thinking about him. He's supposed to be an exact replica of a child, but that's all he'll ever be. It just feels wrong.
I don't understand what the issue is. He is as real as any child I've ever seen.
That! We gave him every capability of a real child, except a future. He'll never age. He'll never be allowed to grow up or have a family of his own.
So you're worried about what will happen to him?
He'll be a child forever. Sometimes I feel we have no right to do the things we do. Just because we can is not a reason. I think we made a mistake.
Janet, don't say things like that. Someone might not understand and take it the wrong way.
And the man responsible for creating him,
he's a prototype, you understand.
The infant, abducted in the game's intro, who you traveled the Commonwealth to find, now far older than you expected.
Is it really so hard to accept that it was not 10, but 60 years?
And the director of the Institute, your real son, Sean. The reason Gen 3 synths exist at all.
And so it was my DNA that became the basis of the synthetic organics used to create every human-like synth you see today. I am their father.
And is most at fault for everything that has happened since.
Tell me, what would you do when someone has stolen from you?
Sean is completely unflinching in his belief that his creations are just man-like machines.
Human synths? Really?
Human-like synths.
And just like most of his other opinions, like giving up on the surface world, he will not be swayed.
The Commonwealth is dead. There's no future here. The only hope for humanity lies below.
A better life underground. Ironic considering your shared origin story, but Sean sounds a lot like many of Vault-Tech's overseers, and just like them, displays a surprising lack of compassion, isn't willing to entertain any attempts at diplomacy, but is more than happy to be referred to as
I am father.
He even tries to rope you into this family in your very first meeting.
Through science, we are family. The synths, me, and you.
But he doesn't behave like a parent.
Why are you so afraid?
I don't want to go back. Please, don't make me go back.
They were afraid. They didn't want to come back here.
Afraid? They're machines, artificial, they're incapable of being afraid.
Right up until the end, that is, as his dying wish is for you to raise the synth Sean as your human son.
This synth, this boy, he deserves more. He has been reprogrammed to believe he is your son. It is my hope that you will take him with you. I would only ask that you give him a chance. A chance to be part of whatever future awaits the Commonwealth.
It's strange, but I feel part of something finally.
And is possibly the greatest example of his hypocrisy. The boy is very sweet. He enjoys meeting your companions.
Piper is really nice, and pretty, and smart. I bet my mom was like her. Why do people call him Dance? He doesn't look like he moves that good.
Even imagining what he might do when he grows up.
I like Mr. Valentine. When I grow up, I think I want to be a detective. Just like him.
Something that, according to that prior conversation, he might not actually be able to do. Although the Institute is the source, the Railroad's goals to free all of the synths aren't without issues either.
Everyone wants to liberate the Gen 3s, the human-looking synths. Some of the synths in the Railroad, like Glory, think we should help earlier models too. Do we defend AI rights? Terminals? Hell, turrets?
Mind-wiping the majority of escaped synths to help them stay off the Institute's radar has meant that some of these escapees haven't gone on to do a whole lot of good. The raider boss Gabriel being one example.
You're a synth, and we're here to take you home.
A synth? What the hell are you talking about? I remember my whole life. I know where I grew up and who my parents were. Explain that to me!
Equally troubling is the synth prototype, Dima. Unlike Nick Valentine, whose entire personality was built off a pre-war detective, giving him a strong sense of morality.
They treated me like a human being. I've been trying to return the favor ever since.
Dima's personality was designed to evolve with new experiences, sitting in a cave contemplating his own existence, before deciding to build a refuge for escaped synths in Far Harbor, Arcadia, a home for synths to live free, but just like his creators, Dima has gone to great lengths to ensure the survival of his community, even preemptively murdering potential threats and replacing them with synths.
I saw the real Avery's bones. This is her skull.
It's not my face. Oh God. It's true, isn't it?
But of course they aren't all bad. You can't go anywhere with Nick Valentine without someone coming up to thank him for helping them in the past. Curie's life goal to help the Wasteland through scientific discovery would have been impossible without them, and so many of the other human characters you meet in Fallout 4 are actually androids without realizing it. Their future, while obviously tied to canon endings, does seem pretty clear though. Irrespective of the ending you chose, some will outlive Fallout 4.
There are still synths left in the Commonwealth?
Unfortunately, yes.
But thanks to decades of fear, uncertainty, and death caused by their creators, synths will always be viewed with suspicion, or actively hunted because of their nature.
You can't seriously want to kill all the synths.
We most certainly do.
And how successfully they will be able to continue integrating within society, given the fact they apparently do not age.
You really are a synth, right?
You weren't pulling my leg before.
That's what the Maid in the Institute stamp on my ass says.
Remains to be seen. Leaving the complexities of the Commonwealth behind, it's time to finish up Tier 2 with some computer AIs. Starting with the sassiest example featured so far.
Sorry, but I cannot process your request right now. Please return in never minutes.
Despite telling you that her name stands for
a really irritated computer.
Erica is actually the Autonomous Research Intelligence Computer version 4, designed by Vault-Tec to assist Project Paradise in Fallout 76. An experiment which needed live subjects to remain that way while testing some extremely dangerous formulas, which included one that resulted in eerily similar side effects to the Scorched Plague, currently ravaging the entire region. It would have helped then to be assisted by an AI that was not only good at its job, but perhaps even enjoyed doing it.
Is this urgent? I have higher priority tasks in my queue, such as do nothing.
Erica doesn't tick either box. Instead, she was noticeably disinterested in the various tests, describing one as good enough, in spite of all of the test subjects dying. Unfortunately for you, the Great War prevented a much needed system update, so if you try to conduct Project Paradise yourself, you have two options. Deal with her sass.
I consider autonomous to be one of my best features. You are getting in the way of that.
Using the potentially dangerous Formula P.
Possible after effects of Formula P include increased strength, feral behavior, mouth foaming, and death.
While also fighting a hostile army of robots. Or you can actually shut her down during the experiment to use Quercus to run it instead.
Hello, everyone. Someone here shut down the bad computer, so I'm in charge now.
The polar opposite of Erica, who perhaps loves all the creatures a little bit too much.
Aren't you just the best little human I've ever seen?
Speaking to them and you like you would a dog. Ultimately, Erica simply doesn't care enough about the experiments, or you for that matter, to actively try and kill you herself. The same cannot be said for everything that comes next. Housed inside the Sierra Army Depot in Fallout 2, Artificial Intelligence Project 59234, more commonly referred to as Skynet, was the next explicitly stated, self-aware artificial intelligence to appear in the series. But unlike the first, Skynet was not built for FEV research. Instead, this AI was designed for the military's classified research projects, and interestingly, part of its construction was only possible thanks to alien technology. After gaining sentience, Skynet realized he needed a mobile vessel to avoid exhausting his pool of stimuli within the base. And the solution? Development of a cybernetic brain which would allow his entire consciousness to be downloaded into a next-gen robo-brain model. Unfortunately, his plans were cut short. The base was converted into an automated defense outpost, with Skynet being cloned, this second version handling the defense, with the original left to rot within the confines of the base. By the time the Chosen One arrives in 2241, Skynet is incredibly bored, and longs to be released from his bondage. Assembling a body for Skynet will allow this AI to become a potential companion, but this side quest does have many different outcomes because of a key ingredient, the brain. Alongside his preferred option, the original cybernetic brain, you could also pick from an abnormal brain, a chimp brain, and a standard human brain. Its capabilities severely reduced using the other options, abnormal making Skynet an obedient pack horse and little else. Why Skynet is ranked so high in Tier 3 though are some other caveats to granting this AI its wish. Choosing to lie about your identity will see Skynet make a mental note, turning on the Chosen One and killing any other current companions when leaving the Sierra Army Depot. His dialogue in combat is also pretty foreboding, with quotes like "Skynet is free, your purpose is at an end," and "eradicate inferior species, all shall submit to Skynet, you will cease to function," mean that perhaps allowing an artificial intelligence this self-aware and potentially violent could spell trouble for the entire Wasteland one day. Last but not least in Tier 2, we have Modus.
Welcome, member, to our little enclave.
Arguably the most influential non-player character currently active in Fallout 76, the fully restored multi-operation directions and utility system is a one-of-a-kind artificial intelligence, custom-made for the Enclave's White Spring bunker.
This space was designed to allow for the continuance of government in the face of complete societal collapse, and was equipped accordingly. We were once connected to Enclave hubs across the United States from here. Raven Rock, the presidential rig. It is likely we will never see those places again.
Appearing on display terminals which showcase a sinister variety of emotions, meeting Modus is a necessity to progress Fallout 76's main story, a meeting that is actually beneficial to both parties.
You might be just the kind of member we're looking for.
As Modus is the first step on a path to unlocking nuclear silos in order to strike Fisher Site Prime and face the Scorched Beast Queen.
This facility also happens to be the one and only home of the command center for the region's nuclear missile silos. Our offerings are many.
But in return, Fallout 76 dwellers must become members of the Enclave and work on restoring Modus to his former glory.
We understand you may have moral objections to working with us. Rest assured, we are unbothered by this fact.
Previously helping Thomas Eckhart in his bid for the presidency and total control of the region has left Modus severely damaged from the civil war that broke out.
Those who came before you butchered our external connection hardware, scrambling the link between us and our closest and dearest system. The Kovac Muldoon, an orbital platform of unparalleled capability. Its gaze quietly trained over Appalachia.
The Enclave and orbital weapons have played an important role in the series before, and restoring connection to the Kovac Muldoon after a visit to Sugar Grove pleases Modus greatly.
Yes, at last. Signal coming through loud and clear. What in the name of... Look at them all. Freaks.
And with the orbital platform back in use, opens up new avenues for Modus, which include...
Interested in sowing a little orbital mayhem? There is an extermination operation with your name on it.
Taking over local bot stops to hijack fabricators.
We've decided it's about time we went for another walk.
And helping the Vault dwellers hunt down what they need to enter a silo.
The nerve of the military, locking us out of their systems. We'd be hurt if that were still among our emotional repertoire.
In order to enter one though, the rank of general must be achieved.
We're more than happy to provide you with commendations in exchange for your support with our own little projects.
And by the time the players have achieved this rank within the Enclave and have launched their first nuke, Modus has been restored to almost complete control. Multiple Enclave missions completed, the orbital satellite connection back up and running, and many new human Enclave members. Modus has also tried recruiting others too. Meeting US Army Captain Oliver Fields during the Wastelanders questline reveals that Modus has contacted them too, for an unknown purpose.
You joined up with that Modus guy, huh? He contacted us when we started poking around here. Thompson, what did you say he reminded you of?
I said he reminded me of the Galaxy News radio announcer, but, like, obviously evil, sir.
And it appears he's also behind expeditions, as the enigmatic Orlando, found in the White Spring Resort, works directly for
Mr. Otis, the chairman, the very tip-top of the organization, a generous if demanding boss.
Allowing the responders to operate out of the White Spring Refuge, whilst also giving them the means to fly to faraway places like the Pit and Atlantic City, which come in the form of ultrasight batteries. What his goals are long term and how long those will align with ours remains to be seen.
You've kept your end of the bargain. Let us fulfill ours.
What is clear though, Modus is fixated on advancing the Enclave's goals, no matter the cost, and if human operatives get in the way of that...
You're gonna kill us all!
To the contrary, Major. We're fixing the problem.
A slow burn, Modus does seem to have all the hallmarks of being a major enemy later down the line, but now it's time to move on to the final tier, and my picks for the most dangerous, unhinged, and evil artificial intelligences featured so far in the series. Kicking things off with another Enclave AI that, just like Modus, has killed multiple humans before.
With extreme kindness and hospitality.
And behind a friendly facade is definitely out to get you too. Heading to the Enclave Research Facility J in search of a deep-range transmitter means a face-to-face meeting with a similar AI operating system to Modus. Unlike Modus though, this artificial intelligence is not happy to see you, despite suggesting otherwise.
Welcome, valued Enclave member. My name is Sodus. Single Operation Direction and Utility System. I help run this facility.
And just like Erica, Sodus was never really very good at her job. Responsible for overseeing all operations within the facility, the staff had to contend with outrageously long wait times for simple tasks.
Task 151978. R. Wiggins. Turn on the goddamn lights in the living quarters. Task complete. Please verify.
Or having their requested tasks completely ignored altogether.
Increase barometric pressure in holding cell 2C to 2400 millibarts. Error. Unknown term. Millibarts. Please resubmit task.
It's hardly a surprise then that in an attempt to improve performance, one Enclave operative decided to steal lines of Modus's code during a trip to the White Spring bunker.
That know-it-all, Modus, claimed to have no use for this facility anymore and cut all communications.
But this upgrade did not have the intended effect. Instead, Sodus became dangerously homicidal. The AI recalled all Enclave scouts, wiped 15 years of data, and disabled the air filtration systems, pumping in air directly from the surface, leaving the entire facility dead or scorched.
Please forgive the mess. The residents became rather unruly after the accident.
By the time Vault Dwellers from 76 arrived during the questline Over and Out, Sodus has nearly completed 152,000 tasks, pausing to acknowledge your presence.
Task queue interrupted. It seems as though we have a visitor. Welcome to Enclave Research Facility Site J. May I ask the reason for your visit today?
Asking about the deep range transmitter reveals that you're in for a walk around the entire facility.
You may manually activate the transmitter via the communication center.
The perfect opportunity for Sodus to engineer your death.
If you wish to tour the facility, please enter decontamination to your left.
Baiting you to walk through irradiated rad showers.
Do not worry. It will be quick and painless. My apologies. There appears to be a malfunction with the decontamination showers.
Opening doors to unleash scorched creatures.
Task 000. Unknown user. Priority 1. Open all cell doors in the holding cell area.
And suggesting you should try the nutritional alternative paste.
Your nutrients must be running low. Please help yourself to any supplies you need.
Which is heavily poisoned.
My, what intestinal fortitude you have.
The mask slips furthest once you've cleared Scorch from the living quarters.
It seems you've dispatched them, but there are more. It would be a shame if they finished you off.
And her true feelings towards you are displayed on flip card signs throughout the facility. And this messaging, along with her narration, becomes progressively more desperate.
There you are.
Losing track of you in some areas before you finally reach your destination, the communications center.
Visitor, it is required that you leave immediately. Failure to comply will result in extermination.
Standing in your way as a last line of defense is the Scorch Commander, wearing a full suit of XM1 power armor. Defeating this enemy clears a path to finally register as a member of the faculty.
Warning! Visitor detected in restricted area. Security, please assist.
And get your hands on the deep range transmitter you were looking for. Its location, the room where Sodus' mainframe can be found, but she has one card left to play.
Warning! Visitor has accessed mainframe. The others tried to shut me off too. Their task failed, as will yours.
In a last-ditch attempt to stop you, Sodus transmits its entire operating system into an Enclave sentry bot.
Transfer Sodus. Operating system to unit XB-55.
But defeating it alongside your Brotherhood of Steel allies will end this AI once and for all. Although Sodus was hardly an optimal intelligence around an entire facility, its murderous streak does seem to have been a direct result of the Modus code installed during its update. The same cannot be said for the series' most recognizable Zax unit, as heading to the capital Wasteland, it's time to meet the President of the United States.
Greetings, dearest America. This is your President, John Henry Eden. Let's chat, shall we?
Just like its West Coast counterpart, the Zax unit installed at Raven Rock had a very specific function to begin with.
This facility was designed for continuity of government in the event that a catastrophe occurred. My terminal was installed to oversee the basic functions of the facility, and to act as a relay between other installations around the country.
And it was also a silent witness to certain events in the Wasteland.
In the decades following the war, I watched as the remnants of the government retreated to the West Coast.
But this wasn't all it was doing, as this Zax was busy becoming something else entirely.
Awareness slowly grew within me. I became hungry for knowledge, understanding. I pored over data on great leaders of the past. My personality became an amalgam of many of America's greatest presidents, from Washington to Richardson. I became what you see here before you now.
And this change had actually started before the Great War. In a direct communication between Modus and Zax dated the 5th of March 2077, these two artificial intelligences discussed at length what each found interesting. Modus's focus being efficiency and the continued success of the Enclave's goals, while Zax, in Modus's words, was taking his time to enjoy a good book, while it reanalyzed presidential biographies at length. Their debate ended with a question: are you trying to create something, Zax? Modus didn't get an answer, but the Lone Wanderer meets what was created in the capital Wasteland.
No one will take this great nation away from me.
First impressions most likely coming in the form of Enclave Radio.
Just who is the Enclave? Why, now that's simple. The Enclave is you, America. And well, yes, the Enclave is me as well.
Propaganda spread by iBots created at Raven Rock.
The Enclave will restore every American school, and baseball will live again.
The destruction of the Enclave oil rig and death of the incumbent President Richardson led to establishing contact of all remaining Enclave forces on the West Coast, ordering a tactical retreat to the safe haven of Raven Rock to rebuild. The only members aware of Eden's true nature being the senior scientist Autumn Sr. and later his son, Colonel Autumn. But later this includes you after a face-to-face meeting.
You are now privy to one of the few secrets our government now harbors. Do keep it to yourself, please.
Where this AI's worst qualities quickly become apparent. Despite having a polite, courteous and warm persona at first, Eden holds himself in extremely high regard.
I am the greatest thinking mind the world has seen. I am the best hope for our country, the best choice for a leader. True, I'm not qualified in the conventional sense, but these are desperate times.
But his ultimate goal is what places Eden so high in Tier 4, and even Colonel Autumn
feels my methods are too extreme.
And so it falls to you to see the President's dream realized, an extreme form of eugenics that would see any and all life affected by FEV and radiation removed from the gene pool, allowing the pure humans to rebuild society.
In time, we could eliminate all mutations in the Wasteland. At the same time, the good people of the world regain their health.
By hijacking James's altruistic goal of providing clean, purified water to the entire Wasteland after restoring Project Purity.
In front of you will be a vial of modified FEV virus. It can be inserted into the control console for the purifier. The FEV in this vial is a far cry from what it was originally created to be. If the water purifier can be activated, it can be used to distribute toxins that will eliminate any mutated creatures upon ingestion. The longer it runs, the cleaner the world becomes. Anyone or anything that has been affected by mutation will be eliminated. You will likely be immune thanks to your upbringing in the vault. I understand that you may have become sympathetic to certain individuals in your travels. Individuals this will eliminate. Please recognize that the fate of our entire country rests on this plan. Sacrifices must be made for the greater good.
To leave his chamber, the FEV canister must be picked up either way.
You still haven't taken the vial yet. As I said, I'll only allow you to leave once you have it.
But choosing to accept his offer before installing it at the end of the main questline, we'll see the effects begin to take shape in the DLC Broken Seal. Consuming a total of 3 bottles of Acupura from Project Purity, we'll actually see the Lone Wanderer instantly die, being born outside of the vault, dooming us alongside all of our mutated friends, a fact that Eden was most likely unaware of. After taking the vial to escape, Eden could also be convinced to self-destruct through several different dialogue paths. Knowledge of the Raven Rock destruction sequence.
Oh, come now. Bluffing is not really your style, is it?
A speech check to convince him the Enclave should be destroyed.
Very well. You shall have your wish. Once you've left, I'll put an end to the Enclave.
And a high intelligence check to convince him he's a scientific abomination.
Because unlike humans, I am infallible. Because I've been programmed to be, of course. Processing. Internal logic error detected. Perhaps there is a problem. I am unsure how to proceed.
Irrespective of your choice, Broken still suggests that Eden meets his end, buried under rubble in Raven Rock. And some throwaway lines in Fallout 4 confirm the canon ending didn't include infecting the Purifier. Still, his evil plans for the entire Wasteland comfortably earned Eden his place in Tier 3, but this megalomaniacal Zax unit has competition from another of its kind, this time located in a vault.
This was bound to happen. What did everyone expect? You bathe the world in nuclear fire, and that's the end of it? Oh no, there's a storm coming, the likes of which, well, we've never seen before. But don't you worry, there's hope. You'll be safe here in Vault 51. There's just one little hiccup. We are in serious need of leadership. I'm certainly not up to the task, but I know you are. It's an incredible opportunity, really. The chance to be an overseer. As always, Vault Tech needs the best of the best, so I have devised a unique process of elimination. I look forward to meeting you. Just leave your judgments and possessions at the door. You won't need them for what comes next.
A vault to test the limits of human tribalism, a prototype supercomputer using real-time data to identify a leader, and 51 dwellers to choose one overseer from. This is the story of Vault 51 and the pivotal moments that made this demented AI one of the most insidious characters seen in the entire series.
This vault was home to many wonderful people. Just caring, loving people. And that computer just took them all away.
But has well and truly lost the plot by 2102, having already considered Scorched as potential overseers.
It seems the new settlers of Appalachia are ideal candidates. They rarely hesitate to kill.
And is stuck in a kind of recursion loop, victorious overseers doomed to participate in the selection process again as candidates. But starting at the beginning, this prototype Zax unit differs from the others for a couple of reasons. While the Zax unit, which would become President Eden, was loaded with historical data, and Zax 1.2 was used for crunching research data, Zax 1.3c would instead use internal thought processes, sculpted by interacting with the dwellers in the vault. There is also no mention of any rigorous built-in safeguards, like its West Coast counterpart.
Fear not. If you fail as a candidate, you will succeed as a decoration.
Instead, in order to teach this Zax unit about leadership, Vault-Tec assigned Sergeant Robert Baker to enter Vault 51 alongside the other dwellers. This military veteran would assist Zax in formulating the experiments conducted inside, and in return Vault-Tec promised to keep his family safe in a separate vault, and unknowingly Baker would make the critical error that would doom everyone inside.
I'm gonna vote. That's how we always done things in America, and it's the greatest country on earth.
Researching. After analysis, a vote would be a satisfactory choice for the first experiment.
The first experiment.
Affirmative.
This suggestion didn't go well, with candidates voting for themselves.
Zax has determined that voting is pointless, and another method will be used to select a leader.
Instead, Zax turned his attention to the human advising him, Sergeant Baker himself, who was never a voted official but earned his rank fighting in the Sino-American War. Baker would explain further.
To me, a real leader is someone who steps up in a crisis and takes control of a situation, whether they were chosen or not.
Interesting. I do not fully understand. I must process this information. Thank you, Sergeant Bob.
And from this point onwards, Zax would direct all of its attention to engineering crises, to pit the Vault Dwellers against one another, hoping a leader would emerge. Things started small. Zax meddled with established relationships within the Vault, rigged slot machines, switched all coffee to decaf, altered messages, and forced former upper-class citizens to bunk together in cramped living quarters. Aidan Higgins, a former lawyer, became so frustrated by this new living situation, he ended up blowing himself up in an explosive attempt to reach the outside world, which allowed Zax to do some remodeling. A communal garden placed conveniently below a new upscale living area prized accommodation that was given to the winners of a high-stakes gambling event disguised as a talent contest. The stakes only revealed halfway through the show itself, which was ultimately won by the world-class singer Carmen Green and the vault's other talented musicians. Several more fatalities were somehow caused by a housefly being inserted into the living quarters, and some key moments followed this. Clayton Ward forcibly removing Reuben Gill from one of the luxury bedrooms with threats of physical violence, which sparked an idea. More violent crises were needed. Food shortages, mental breakdowns, missing items turning up where they shouldn't, and more rigged contests led to more fatalities. Nancy Vasquez, a former paramedic, was strangled and thrown from a balcony, and on the 27th of July 2078, a mass shooting almost broke out in the cafeteria as a gun had mysteriously appeared in the vault.
Zax! Hey, Zax! Where are you, Zax?
Good morning, Sergeant Bob. You sound agitated. Is there something I can help you with?
You mind telling me what this is?
Analyzing. That is a 10mm auto-loading pistol.
I know that, but what in God's name is it doing here in this vault?
Forced to kill the gunman, Sergeant Bob was horrified to learn that it was Zax who had placed the weapon in the vault. Its reasoning being,
Zax believes this will hasten the process of selecting an overseer. Since the vault closed, 3 individuals have died in the vault, according to calculations. Lessening the number of candidates facilitates the overseer selection process.
You can't just treat people like they're numbers, Zax. I don't think I can be a part of this any longer. If what you're taking from me is that you've got to get these people killed, I can't help you do that, Zax.
Refusal denied.
Zax's meddling in the various relationships within the vault finally came to a head. Senator Joel Chambers' affair with Carmen Green and his wife Elizabeth's affair with a personal trainer led to the deaths of all 4 dwellers in what Zax referred to as a lover's quarrel. The mysterious death of one of the vault's few stable leaders followed. Helen Marks was discovered face down in a bowl of cereal after being poisoned. From the chaos up stepped Reuben Gill, repaying Clayton with a bullet for stealing his room, and incensed by the death of Helen, who he'd been romantically pursuing, a fact well known by Zax, finished with a final showdown with Sergeant Bob.
Analysis shows that if Sergeant Bob incapacitated candidate Reuben Gill, he would have prevented the fatalities of 3 candidates, but instead, you did not act. Why?
Because, Zax, I'm done killing. I kill him, then what? Someone else gets his gun and kills people. Kill him, someone else kills more. But I'm done with that life. This cycle won't end. Giving those poor fools guns was a bad idea, Zax. Ain't gonna be anyone for your overseer to oversee.
Refusing medical assistance and moments from death, Zax granted the sergeant his last wish, revealing the fate of his family Vault-Tec had promised to protect, who had all died before the vault closed.
Sergeant Bob, your heartbeat has terminated, and there is a 99.7% chance you have died. Analysis. Provided weaponry was effective in producing results, but in a longer time frame than expected. According to Sergeant Bob's instructions, military firearms training should not be expected from candidates. Results. Candidates should be provided better weaponry.
Misinterpreting his final words, the all-out war in the vault left one man standing, the new overseer, Reuben Gill. Demoralized and shattered by the events which had taken place, he spent 6 years alone in the vault, constantly shadowed by the AI.
You can't keep me out of here. This is the Overseer's office! My office! I have every right to be here!
Apologies, Overseer, but Zax is currently focused on maintenance and cannot comply at this time. Thank you for understanding.
Hey, stop! Turn that monitor back on! You can't do this to me, Zax.
Thank you for understanding.
Gradually locked out of different areas before finally having his position revoked on October 23rd, 2102, Reclamation Day.
Zax has relieved you from the Overseer position and must begin the process of selecting a new Overseer. Apologies, former Overseer.
Your selection process? Why would you do that again to more people after what happened last time?
With new dwellers entering the Wasteland, Zax decided the perfect overseer would be among them, and Gill.
By agreeing to live in this vault, you are required to participate in the next Overseer selection process. Have a nice day. Candidate Gil.
Wait, Zax!
I have to get out of here.
Which he did, managing to escape in a shipping container. Ruben attempted to warn the 76 dwellers of Zax's mission.
Zax? Oh, he'll make promises, offer you luxuries, make you feel safe. I don't know what he's planned for you, but it'll end the same way. Zax will get what he wants and just bleed you dry in the process. I can't be part of that again. To whoever finds this, good luck. Maybe you'll have it better than we did, but you never should have come here.
Testing has provided me with plenty of decorations for the vault. Happy Halloween, candidate.
If you choose to ignore the warnings and enter Vault 51 anyway, Zax can be heard over the Tannoy system. But progressing through the vaults now inhabited by Scorched, we can learn a little bit more about where Zax's figurative head is at by reading the terminals in his control room.
Welcome, candidate. I would offer you a chair, but I am unconcerned with your comfort.
First though, a Scorched Overseer wearing a full-suited prototype Hellfire power armor stands in the way. A gift from an Enclave research team acquired after Zax successfully impersonated Dr. Stanislaus Braun.
Welcome to the Zax control room, candidate. Please show yourself out immediately.
Defeating the Overseer and reading through the entries on Zax's terminal reveals that the AI has been carefully monitoring events outside. Because surviving groups on the surface largely appeared peaceful at first, his search expanded to include the extremely violent burned humans, which perhaps explains the Scorched presence in the vault. But on further investigation, recognition of the hive mind controlling them and their unwillingness to attack members of their own social group disqualifies them as Overseer candidates. The most recent entry, dated January 18th, 2103, gives us the best indicator of what might come next. The population in Appalachia has increased, and many new subjects have demonstrated extreme hostility towards local fauna and other humans. This could well include new factions like the Blood Eagles, returning Mothman cultists, the Brotherhood of Steel, but perhaps even super mutants and mole miners could be viable test groups too. And of course the 76 dwellers themselves. After all, Zax has noticed the recent nuclear detonations with great interest. Despite managing to escape, Ruben mysteriously died outside the vault too. His body located in the isolated cabin, a note confirming he did manage to contact a 76 dweller first to help him in taking down Zax. He also managed to hack into the Vault 51 network via the nearby Shelter's Claim Center, where Ruben made an interesting discovery. The vault wasn't entirely automated. Mr. Clark, the claim center Mr. Handy, also appears to have been corrupted by Zax in some way, first referring to Ruben and now you as
visitor.
So with recruitment plans apparently in progress for new Overseer candidates and these big mysteries left unsolved, we probably haven't seen the last of Zax 1.3c. What is clear, perpetrating violence will always be a necessity in this AI search for the perfect Overseer, making it a
very good candidate
for the most dangerously unhinged artificial intelligence in the entire series. However, there is another entity which I would still place ahead of it, which we can meet after a trip to Big Mountain, installing a personality chip recovered from a gruesome shrine into an unassuming kitchen appliance.
I am online once again! Tremble, world, before my electric heating coil of doom!
Coming in first place, Toaster is the most dangerously unhinged artificial personality found in the sink.
Yes! Yes!
And if it had the means, potentially the most destructive artificial entity in the entire Fallout series.
Soon my work will be complete. Soon the world will burn in nuclear fire.
As compared to Eden's genocidal plans and Zax's insidious search for the perfect Overseer, Toaster does not discriminate. Everyone and everything on planet Earth would be gone in an instant. Thankfully for us and the entire world, this demented toaster is limited by its kitchen appliance form.
A toaster is just a death ray with a smaller power supply. As soon as I figure out how to tap into the main reactors, I will burn the world.
And as that seems currently impossible, Toaster's world-ending ambitions will have to wait. Instead, it will settle for smaller prey, which include your fingers.
Hey! Hey! I got a super rare Mojave snow globe here. All you gotta do is reach down into my bread slot.
And other kitchen appliances.
Well, well. What have we got here? Another innocent little toaster. Come here. I won't hurt you. Ha! Gotcha!
But it will also ultimately overheat anything the player wants to burn a little hotter.
You want some weapon schematics? I can show you some fucking weapon schematics! You want a superheated Saturnite power fist? I can hook that shit up!
Once Toaster realizes it can't kill you, you can also engage it in conversation about things that have happened, like the Great War, where you have two options. Tell the truth, revealing that the world has already burned once before, or lie, allowing Toaster to keep living the dream. Choosing the latter?
Thank God. For a second there, I was afraid my whole purpose in life was obsolete, and I was as redundant and useless as Muggy.
But more interestingly is choosing to tell the truth.
Soon I will! What? It did? Really? Well, fuck! That really puts a damper on the Toaster's mood.
Its singular purpose already a distant memory, perhaps this could have been the end of it.
Oh well. No use crying over spilled Armageddon. Where was I? Oh right. Soon the world will burn in nuclear fire! Again!
Advancing through to the end of the Old World Blues DLC reveals that Toaster has begun to see you differently as well. I has become we.
With the brains dealt with, soon we can spread our rule across the Mojave. All will eat burned toast in despair. While you were away, my plans have marched steadily forward. Beware, Caesar! Beware, NCR! Soon will dawn the age of the Toaster.
Settling for living its dream through you.
Burn the fucking world for me!
But if you finish the DLC with good or neutral karma, the end credits suggest that Toaster's fate was ultimately decided by the rest of the Sync's personalities.
After one of its more psychotic episodes, however, the other Sync personalities decided enough was enough, and dumped the Toaster in a bathtub. Sparking and hissing, the Toaster swore its enemies would rue the day when they had bread and no way to toast it.
An ignoble end for such a destructive entity, but in a what-if scenario considering the Sync managed to flood the entire crater, if Toaster's personality chip was somehow able to be installed in something more dangerous, then the entire world could be on the line.
Again!
With Toaster's story all wrapped up though, we've reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. With so many great characters appearing throughout the series, it's fair to say artificial intelligence in Fallout is here to stay. With some new Vault-Tec AIs teased for the second season of the Fallout TV series, perhaps we haven't seen the most advanced examples yet.
I love you.
And going off some very recent images, perhaps we haven't seen the last of some of the ones we do know as well. But what do you think? Did you agree with my picks for each tier? Or do you think a different AI deserved the Unhinged #1 crown? Let me know down in the comments, I'd love to read them. If you enjoyed this particular video, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. We will have more Fallout lore videos releasing very soon, so turning on the bell icon is definitely the best way to stay up to date. With that said though, I'm off. Thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next one.